Hey everybody, welcome back to another Game Thrifter episode, and I have to say, today's is one I've been looking forward to for a very long time. I'm going to cover some of the best and my favorite RPGs for the original Xbox. Sure, you can get some of these elsewhere nowadays, but back then, the original Xbox was known for having some pretty fantastic RPGs, and I think even today, Xbox is known for the RPGs that they have, from Fable to Starfield to Skyrim to, Elder Scrolls 4 to Fallout. And they actually own a lot of these IP now because they've actually bought Bethesda, and, Bethesda made a lot of those games. So, yeah, it's very interesting to see how things have kind of come along over the years, but this should be a very fun video. I'm looking forward to getting into it. So if you guys are enjoying my stuff and my work and the videos, please consider subscribing and, even consider liking the videos as well, as that helps out the channel. Let's go ahead and get started. I really feel like any RPG list starts and ends with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, of course, otherwise known as KOTOR, and this had one of the biggest twists in video game history, and that's probably why it's one of my favorite games, not only of yesteryear, but even today. I still play this game. I played this game recently on the Nintendo Switch, actually, and I still love it. It's just such a phenomenal game, and I was really hoping that we'd get the remake of it, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But playing as a Jedi, not exactly, giving away spoilers here, but I love the fact that this game takes on such a role where, yeah, you get your, your Jedi credentials, you get your lightsaber, but you don't start off that way, because I love the build-up to it. I love the execution of it. I love the story. It's sort of a, who's who type of situation. You're trying to figure out your past. You've forgotten some things. There's something going on, and you're not quite sure what it is, but seeing the amazing story and how far you've come as a character in this story, and all the other side characters and what can happen to them and the interactions. I had never really experienced anything like that before, and so I really feel like BioWare nailed it with this game, and that's why they're sort of the masters of the RPG. And when you play this game, I think you just get this kind of sense of this world, this Star Wars world that we've never really seen, and I don't think we've really experienced anything like that since either. This is definitely my favorite Star Wars game of all time, and it really holds up today. It's just such a great game, and backwards compatible on Xbox Series X and Xbox One, so no reason not to try it. You can even pick it up digitally for like $5, so I highly recommend this game. I think Fable has gotten a little bit of a bad rap over the years, but honestly, Fable The Lost Chapters is such a great game, and it's a game that really kind of, I think, tells a fantastic story that we don't really get that much anymore. And it's got humor, and it's got heart, and it's got all the things that you look for in an RPG. And I feel like they did such a good job with it, and we haven't really seen anything kind of top. I think the original Fable, maybe the second Fable, I think was probably better. But, overall, I just feel like this was such a great foundation for this franchise, and they just really nailed it. They seem to really kind of understand the type of relationships and character arcs, and like I said, you don't see a game that has some seriousness about it, but also have that amazing sense of humor to it that really just kind of makes it charming and extra special and fun to play through. And, the memorable characters. I think, obviously, if you've never played it, you owe it to yourself to play the game. But if you have played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's amazing characters in this game, and they're memorable characters. Just like people we don't get anymore these days. So I hope that we see, something in the future that's reminiscent of this original game with the reboot that's going to come out. I think next year they said it is coming out. So, like I said, it's an exciting game. It's a fun game. It's a game that has pretty much everything: action, adventure, thrills, kills, and romance, and it's just a lot of fun to play, and I highly recommend it. You probably figured that this game was going to be in here, and with good reason. Clearly, The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind was going to be a game that I was going to put on my list. It still holds up today, and again, this is one of those cool games that is actually backwards compatible. It works and looks very well with the Xbox Series X and even the Xbox One. A lot of people like this game over even Elder Scrolls Skyrim. For me, I prefer Skyrim, but I think Morrowind is still a very, very good game. You know, it's a good Final Fantasy Dungeons and Dragons style RPG. And I think that they really kind of nailed the aesthetic with it. I mean, yeah, I wish it was maybe widescreen or whatever, but at the end of the day, I think they did a fine job with it. And when you have, a distinction between like a game where there's between attributes and skills and things like that, the way that they do this, I think it makes for a much better game. And you can level up your character by gaining levels in some predetermined skills as well. You have major and minor skills in the game. It's just a lot of fun. You don't have to be like some super RPG person to get into it, I guess. That would be probably the easiest way to explain it, because I know some people might think of a like Bethesda RPG and think, oh, well, I have to really know my stuff to get into this game, or, it's super hardcore or whatever. And it can be that if you want it to be, but I think one of the best things about it is the fact that, it really is a game that is very forgiving, and it is a game that anyone can jump into and enjoy. And thanks to it to being a little bit older game, I find it to be even a little bit easier than what I remembered. So highly recommended as well. BioWare is putting in work on my list, and here is Jade Empire, one of my favorite RPGs, one that I would love to see a complete remake for, or a sequel or something. It just doesn't look like we'll probably get it. Like, the game didn't sell incredibly well, but it was very highly regarded, and such a fun setting, such an amazing story. Again, I think BioWare early on really knocked it out of the park with their stories that had a little bit of a twist to them, and I think that's a really cool thing that they were able to accomplish. And I do feel like this is one of those underrated gems that more people don't talk about, but they probably should. They really just kind of nailed everything about it. The characters, the heart, the story, everything. And graphically, it looks incredible. And what's fun is this game is backwards compatible as well. So I think that says a lot about it. And when you play it backwards compatible, it looks amazing, to say the least. I mean, clearly, there's a lot of games that don't do the widescreen thing from the original Xbox, but they still look great when you're playing them like for the first time or whatever. So absolutely one of the most underrated stories with some of the best characters. And again, BioWare nails it from a storytelling standpoint, and the actual combat is definitely, I think, a step above what we've seen before, like even in KOTOR. So I thought they really nailed that, and it's one of the most highly recommended games and RPGs that I ever can tell you to pick up and play. Play it and thank me later. Now, this might be a little bit of a controversial pick, but Phantom Dust, I find this to be a very interesting role-playing game. And, it realistically mixes a few different genres, including action and some real-time strategy as well. But I just found it to be such a fun and interesting game to kind of mix into the category that I'm kind of going for here. So basically, it combines a lot of kind of elements to it. You're playing a character who just kind of control the dust that covers the earth to use in combat. It's divided between some different stages and things like that, and non-game kind of gameplay as well that includes interactions with NPCs where you can also review and optimize your skills. Now, when you are in combat, you actually are playing with an ally, and the opponents can use various different skills and powers on you, powered by your actual aura, and kind of collected around the level as much as possible. So again, I feel like this is a very interesting game, and I look at it more as sort of an RPG than anything, but I understand if maybe you don't. I just wanted to put it in here because, hey, you rarely see this game really kind of talked about. And also, Microsoft was going to bring it back at one point, and then I guess that possibly fell through. And, when we look at sort of what's happening with Microsoft right now, I doubt we ever see the game again. But this is such a fun game to play through, and I highly recommend it. You know, give it a try, see what you think, and then let me know in the comments how you feel about it. Now, bringing out the close to my list is actually Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, which you think, oh, BioWare, there they are again. Nope, this wasn't a BioWare game. It's actually Obsidian, and they did a pretty good job with it. Now, the problem was that LucasArts really wanted this game out like as quickly as possible and for the holiday season, and so they had to cut a lot of content, and so it is missing, like you can tell at the end when you get to the end of the game that it's missing a lot of like what's going to happen at the ending and stuff like that. They didn't have enough time to put that in. There's also like a mission or two that you actually cannot complete because the game itself wasn't exactly complete. And you have to remember, this was at a time where they weren't really updating, you know, things through patches, through online patches and things like that. So although the first KOTOR there was DLC, and that was the first time I ever remember DLC on the original Xbox, was like you could download this planet or this like space station and get some gear there and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. But KOTOR 2 still has a really good story to it and great characters all its own. And you know, I love the fact that they kind of went into a different direction. It would have been easy to just continue on the Revan story and things like that after the cliffhanger of the first game, but they went in a completely different kind of way, and I feel like it paid off. And I would have loved to get some resolutions to these stories, but of course we haven't, and it's unlikely that we ever will. But just still cool to go back and play this game and these games on Xbox. So there we have it, you know, some nice little Xbox RPGs. What do you guys think, though? What do you guys think about some of the better RPGs on Xbox? What did I miss? What would you like to see in a video down the line? I would really appreciate the feedback and your thoughts on the subject as well, because that's important to me. You know, just as a content creator, I like listening to the feedback and hearing what you guys have to say. And I also take your opinions and thoughts on content that I should create seriously. So a lot of times if you request a video, I'll do it. Not all of them are going to be able to be 20-minute videos because I kind of have a busy schedule and things like that. But I can do videos like this much more regularly. So if you enjoy it, let me know. Like the video, subscribe, share it out, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks so much for watching.